Welcome to A Mason's Work, the podcast where we review Masonic symbols and illustrate how they can be used to solve problems in everyday life. With your host, Brian Mattox, a proud member of the Craftsman Online Media Network.
Imagine you only went to the gym when you felt like you needed to be strong. Not like on a schedule, not as a regular thing, not as a practice or any of that kind of stuff, but only when you felt weak or outmatched or unable to do a thing you needed to do. How do you think that would work, right? Like, I need to lift this car up off of somebody who's injured. Now I'm going to try and be strong. How do you think that's going to work long term, right? You'll find, I think, just like everybody, that the moment you need capacity, the moment you need a capability, is probably the wrong time to try and build it. The crisis does not wait for you to get ready. The crisis is here, and it assumes that you have the capacity to respond. When we talk about our work internally, our capacity to solve problems and deal with the stresses of everyday life, it becomes very obvious very quickly that you kind of wish you had started years ago, right? It's that the old proverb, like, when's the best time to plant a tree? Was 20 years ago. The second best time is now. When we look at developing the ability to respond and interact and change the environment around us, the thing you want to make space for is the practice in the moment, in the mundane middle, if you will, not the extremes of your everyday life, not the really tough times and not the really joyful times. It's the regular day is when the practice and profession of Freemasonry starts to become an important and meaningful activity. We can all have really bad days and those peak experiences as well, those really great and amazing days. And as those happen, when they happen for the various reasons that they do, it's important to know that very little that you're going to do in those moments is going to meaningfully change the outcome if you don't have the ability to respond. What does that mean? What does it look like? When we start becoming our true selves, the agentic capacity to respond to the environment around us, with the skill and acumen to be able to solve problems and approach with novel solutions and create space for emergent opportunities and all of the kinds of things that the sort of Renaissance person's able to do. What'll happen is those moments themselves will take on a completely different character. They won't feel overwhelming. They won't feel like it's out of control. It will feel like this is just another thing. And that is one of the reasons why we build this capacity, so that all of that sort of training and activity that we're doing to understand our own responses, to figure out how to best solve those problems, to not get in our own way when it comes to how we do that, that all enables us to essentially treat more and more extremes in terms of behavior, in terms of the situation, in terms of the sort of experience or the social construct. Those extremes become essentially more tolerable, for lack of a better way to say it, in your all everyday life, right? So as you do this, you can tolerate and endure and thrive in a broader range of everyday life. That is really the cultivation of resilience. And so if you know somebody that flies off the handle at every little thing, this is a person who has not cultivated enough resilience to deal with the challenges of everyday life. If you find that you're that person, you're really setting yourself up for an opportunity to do the work. And we'll talk about over the next couple of episodes how identifying those places where the extremes pull you off of your center or pull you out of your ability to respond meaningfully, remarkably, capably, that kind of thing. That pull off of center is the beginning of finding something really important. And we'll talk about that in the next episode. See you then.
The views represented in this podcast are those of the speaker alone and are not representative of any grand or subordinate lodge.
Hi, Brian here. I wanted to thank you so much for listening to this episode. If you have any suggestions or guidance for further episodes you'd like to see or hear, whatever the case may be, please don't hesitate to reach out to me at amasonswork.com, and we will try and incorporate your suggestions into a future recording. Thanks.
Freemasonry teaches us that the true work is within, a lifelong journey of reflection, discipline, and discovery. At A Mason's Work, we help Masons bring out their best selves through meaningful self-inquiry and symbolic practice. From personal reflection to lodge engagement, we offer tools that turn symbols into action. Visit us at amasonswork.com. The work is within. The time is now.